Hey y'all, it's a country notary. Hope you're having a great day. As always, please like this video, and if you haven't already done so, guys, please subscribe to my channel. It's a beautiful day we have out here in Southeast Texas. Weather is great, and a little bit of extra motivation to do a video. I've been on social media lately, scrolling through, reading blogs, watching, posts and comments from other loan signing agents, as well as previous comments that I've made myself personally, being concerned and talking about the market, the economy, interest rates, the slowdown of refinances, and how that's impacting us loan signing agents. So that's what I am going to spend the next few minutes talking about as I am driving home from a closing on a Saturday morning. I'm going to actually talk about my Saturday morning first. Actually, I'm going to talk about this first. The loan signing agent business is not dead, y'all. High interest rates, rising interest rates, rising gas prices, low agent fees. Yes, all of those things are happening. But the loan signing agent business is not dead, y'all. At least not for me. And hopefully not for you either. And I personally feel, as a part-time mobile notary, as a person who majored in business administration, as a person who reads and studies the market that affects loan signing agents and mobile notaries, as a person who has coached and trained several successful mobile notaries this past year, I personally feel that the market has affected some of us, impacted some of us negatively, sadly, based on the way we structured our business, based on our actual expectations, which may have been unrealistic expectations to begin with. So I'm going to speak a little bit about that today. The market is not dead, and I hope the lighting is good. Always concerned about the lighting. I am leaving a signing this morning. I'm going to talk about my last 3 days, my last 3 signings. I received several notifications this week, and I accepted 3, and I'm going to talk about those, and may break and start another video to talk about my first quarter as well. The market is not dead. Received a notification for a signing a few days ago. It was a Texas cash out. If you live in Texas, or you're familiar with the Texas laws, Texas home equity loans require that they're signed in a title office or in a law firm, which I do have an agreement with a law firm. So when I get those offers, I am available. If I am available, I accept those, and we meet and sign in the law firm. Typically, because we're surrounded by a number of rural areas, the client has to drive. Oftentimes the client has to drive, 20, 30 minutes to the location, but basically because they live in the country and they don't really have a choice if they are refinancing and they don't have an option close to where they live. I received this offer for this refinance, and the instructions basically stated that it was a non-homestead borrower that did not have to sign in the law firm this time. So I was very thrilled to see that. It was my first one. All of my previous refis of that type were signed in the law firm. Texas cash outs are what we call them. Is what we call them. So I verified with the title company and the client, and met him at a Barnes & Noble's because it was just convenient. He was getting off from work. It was my first non-homestead Texas cash out. He was an investor. He was taking getting a refinance cash out of an investment property, a rental property. Mental note, talk about that in a subsequent video, because over the last few months, I have been researching and getting my ducks in a row to purchase my first investment property. We'll talk about that later. The signing was successful. The signing paid $115. And I have, over the last year, negotiated my rates to a point where I typically don't take an offer less than $100, which I'm glad, because I'm not sure, we use all these different signing services. I primarily work with SnapDocs, signature closers, loan closers, signing order, and I typically don't accept an assignment less than $100, which is great, because when an order comes through and I counter for, if it comes through for 85, I counter at 100, they usually pay the $15 and assign me the job. So, which is great. It's worked out. It doesn't work out 100% of the time, but it usually works out where I get the offer. Consistency, professionalism. Over the past year, I've basically built myself up to $100 a job, loan signing agent, which is about the best I can do, given the fact that I don't have a direct I don't do direct work with title companies, which I've talked about that in other videos. None of my business comes directly from title companies, most of which come from signing services, or when title companies or individuals Google me. Okay, so that assignment went well. Speaking of Google, second order that I'd like to talk about came from Google. Mind you, there is a common denominator amongst all three of these signings, which I will refer back to my original topic, the topic of this video. The loan signing agent business is not dead. An individual Googled me. He wasn't quite sure what to call his document set. And so, of course, I asked a few probing questions. And as it turns out, he had a loan modification. He told me he had a loan modification previously, and something didn't go correctly, so they're having him do another one. So I was assuming he was on his second loan modification. He was actually calling it something else. Started with an R, I can't remember. But when we finally actually met, we met at another neutral spot, and he had a loan modification. He had 2 copies. I had quoted him a fee. I was actually shopping in Lowe's at the time, looking at some building materials. I was, I'm in the process of renovating my kitchen and living rooms, another story. And I was at Lowe's, and he needed me to meet him in about an hour because he had to go to work, and I had to make a decision. Quoted him $65. He accepted. And as you may or may not know, if you have been in the business for a while, or whether you're, if you haven't, loan modifications are usually a very small document set. The good news is the company had already mailed him the copies of the document, which they typically do, mail the client the copies of the document directly with a prepaid shipping label. So that lessens the load for the mobile notary. Or at that point, we basically meet him at the location, have him sign, and we notarize everything. And this one had a funny twist to it. We met at a neutral spot. It's so funny. We met at the location. Everything was flagged. Of course, I'm familiar with them, so the flagging was already done prior to shipping the documents to him. And the title company was out of Georgia, I think, and oftentimes Georgia, Florida, a few states that I'm aware of require witnesses, and he wasn't, and they were flagged for witnesses. There was a flag on each page that needed a witness's signature. So it specifically also said that the notary could not be a witness. The witness had to be a neutral third party, so his wife, who was with him, could not be a witness. And we were at a McDonald's, at the neutral spot at a McDonald's. So I suggested that his wife went, and recruited a couple of people from McDonald's, or guests, or people that were, eating, to come and witness. And so she left and came back with 2 of the McDonald's employees. It was kind of funny. The manager, he was like 18 and a half, and another guy, a worker. And so they both witnessed the documents and, you know, had notarized their signatures as well. One of the guys had, you know, I guess he was back there making burgers, and after he signed the first set of documents, the first witness line, he had cheese, like melted cheese, on the side of his hand, and it got on the paper, and it was kind of funny. So we had to clean that up, and he wiped his hands. Oh, I'm sorry, and signed the second document. So we got our witnesses done. 2 documents later, double checked everything, and they cashed out me the $65. That appointment took about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes of driving and 30 minutes at the signing table. And I didn't have to print anything, so $65 later in my bank account. Okay. Common denominator I'll talk about was, you know, common amongst all 3 of these documents. Hopefully I don't run out of gas, because I actually am trying to make it to Sam's Club. I have a Sam's Club business credit card now that I'm going to talk about in one of my videos, as I've been building business credit, and I've been buying, only thing I've been buying on it is gas. So trying to make it to Sam's. Hopefully my car says I have about 30 miles left, which is about 15 miles down the road, so I should be okay after I stop at FedEx, because I have to drop these documents, which is all on the way. Everything's efficient. You know, gas prices ain't playing. Okay, so McDonald's couple is done. Their documents shipped. That was a Wednesday night. The documents shipped. Today is Saturday. Assuming everything went well, because again, it's been a couple of days, we haven't gotten any feedback. And they gave me a really great review on Google. Love it. Google has been good to me lately. Third client this morning, had 2 signings this morning, both refis at the client's home. The first one got to the signers right before I left the house. I actually received a phone call. I missed the call, called it back. It was from a title agent in Ohio. She goes, I hope we caught you in time. We just sent an updated CD. Hope you have time to print it. If not, we'll email it directly to the client, and hopefully they can print it at the signing table. I told her, you just caught me. I was on my way out of the door. Went back to my computer, printed the updated 2 copies of the updated CDs, closing disclosures, texted the client with my ETA, arrived at the location, rang the doorbell, no answer. Knocked a couple of times, no answer. Rang the doorbell again, no answer. So I called. It was 10 in the morning, and about maybe 8 minutes or so of waiting, they have, you know, the Ring doorbell. So I guess the client realized that I was still out there, and he walked out and told me, he basically said, I'm sorry, but who are you? And I said, I'm the notary. I've called you, I've, you know, texted you, we talked last week. He goes, oh, I'm sorry you drove all this way. And they lived a little further out. We spoke with someone on Thursday, 2 days ago, and we decided to cancel. I'm like, really? They just emailed me your updated documents this morning. I'm assuming that you've been in communication with them. Typically, we don't get last-minute updates unless there was a last-minute conversation, I guess, a last-minute change. And he goes, I'm not sure how and why, but we canceled. We're not signing. And he went on to explain why. He wasn't comfortable with them. Wasn't comfortable with their customer service, the communication. He used terms like the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. There was a lot of calls that the client had made that were not responded to, and he just wasn't comfortable giving them all of his information and his check. He actually had a cashier's check for me to collect, a large amount, largest amount I had ever seen, $175,000. And basically it looked like he was planning on almost paying down his house and only refinancing the last $100,000. It was a really weird refinance, but you know, who am I to judge or question? At that point, obviously I called the title agent back who had called me earlier. She was on the phone, so she asked me to text her. I texted her what happened. She said basically close out the order with a trip fee and a print fee, and thank you. So I did that. And then I went on to my third appointment. Again, there is a common denominator across all 4 of these assignments. I said 3 earlier, but there are 4. And then this last couple actually was a simple refi. And during the conversation, nice couple, we signed outside. It's a beautiful day today. During the conversation, he basically said, I wish we had done this sooner because interest rates were a lot lower a few months ago. I said, yes, they were. So we signed, and I'm on my way to FedEx now. The loan signing agent business is not dead, y'all. If you're still thinking about becoming a loan signing agent, want more information, contact me. I can confidently tell you that my business is strong. Number one, my expectation was set from the beginning. I would have loved to have gone full-time with this business, but I've maintained it as a part-time side income because I felt that it perfectly fit my current lifestyle. I'd still work my 9-to-5 job as a teacher, and I do loan signings when I can. Typically after work, weekends and holidays. I actually had 2 signings this morning on a Saturday morning. Not atypical. Occasionally we'll have signings on Saturdays as well. Even though one didn't work out, I'll get a trip fee for driving out there and a print fee as well. What is the common denominator? Should have told you about, there's a fourth signing that actually executed yesterday. A last minute offer for a non-homestead cash out. Another investor doing a cash out of an existing property so that she can use the funds, she literally said herself, to grow her business. And it was so fitting because these are some things that I've been researching myself as I plan to become an investor this year. As it turns out, I did a closing. She was on her way to show a house, is what she said. She was in the process of flipping a house and someone's interested in purchasing it. Later that day, I talked to a good friend. She asked me, do you know, and she mentioned the client's name. I said, yes, I just met her today. How do you know her? She is the person who bought the house next door to me that you were looking at, I was looking at. And I reached out to the owner to see if they were interested in selling. They never got back to me. It was eventually sold. And the client that I had just did the refi for is the person who's flipping that house. And it was her first flip. And she met my neighbor, who lives a couple of blocks away from me, call her my neighbor. And my sister was there. And it's just the weirdest coincidence that she was on her way to show that house after our closing and next door to people that I know. That's something, that coincidence may be something beneficial as a notary. You learn so much about the real estate industry and you meet people. You just really never know who you might meet. And I didn't bring up much of the conversation during the closing because try to focus on the job in front of you, but I planned on contacting that lady because I had a couple of questions about some things she mentioned while we were in the middle of the closing regarding purchasing investment properties. It's just beautiful how that story came full circle. And that says, so I had 4 closings that were successful this week, one canceled in a short time frame between Wednesday and Saturday. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like I said, one closing $115. The client yesterday started out as $115 as well, but there was a reprint, and because of the extra documents, they gave me an additional $20. So that became a $135 job. This morning's job was $100, and the $65 loan modification, you can do the math on that, it's around $400. And I had some closings earlier this week as well, so this actually turned out to be a good week. January, I think I did 18 closings. February, a couple of less, maybe 16. March started out at 13, but these last 4 brought it to 17. So I did 1 or 2 less closings each month, but the numbers are still pretty solid considering I haven't actually been marketing or doing much because I've been researching and doing a lot of work on the real estate investing side, as well as focusing on my remodel. And I still had a pretty strong first quarter. The common denominator across all of these closings, when I say that the loan signing agent business is not gone, guys, and yes, interest rates are creeping up, cash out refi, a loan modification, a person who basically was handing over $275,000 cashier's check. Not sure if that really kind of fits the common denominator. And then another client who said, I should have done this a few months ago, I could have saved a little bit more money. People, there's still a margin of opportunity for those of us who can see this business as a great side income on a part-time basis, like I've done, and who have realistic expectations about how much money they can make, and who do a good, professional, consistent job, so that when the conditions start to go down in the market, interest rates start to go up, refis start to slack off, less people are purchasing, but it's a seller's market, etc. I'll get back to that in another video as well, because eventually those people are going to start selling because cash is going to get tight. People are going to start selling, getting more cash outs. Debt settlements. I've seen lots of debt settlement loans come across. Talked about property tax loans in some of my other videos. When people get in a bind and start getting desperate for cash because of inflation and high and rising prices, they're gonna need to pull that cash from somewhere else. Our jobs are not just automatically gonna give us a raise because of inflation. Notaries, there is still opportunity out there to make money. It may not be the refi boom, it may not be another big boom, but there will be consistent ways out there for us to make money as loan signing agents and mobile notaries. And in my case, in a small market, small town, I've proven that, and I've literally not dropped off once. I've dropped off doing videos as much as well as on social media because I've been busy building other parts of my business, but the business is still strong. And on a bright note, the title agent that called me yesterday for the cash out refi for the lady that wound up knowing my neighbor down the street, she gave me the best compliment ever when she called me. And I get a lot of calls, so I thought it was a spammer. I don't normally answer with my name anymore. So I said, hello, and she goes, is this, Dana, etc. And I said, who's speaking? And she goes, this is Sally from XYZ Title. And we started talking. She goes, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you have the greatest reviews on SnapDocs. You have excellent reviews on SnapDocs. I said, really? She goes, yes. People have commented about your professionalism, being on time, being precise, efficient, accurate, courteous. And she goes, hasn't anyone ever mentioned this to you? I said, no, and we don't get to see those comments. We don't see that side of our profile. She goes, that's a shame. You should. There should be some feedback. And she went on to read some of them, and I really appreciated that. No one has ever told me about the profile and the comments that people have made in the background. I've gotten comments directly from title companies in email or just through conversation, but nothing as glowing as that. So I was really pleased to hear that. And she went on to give me the assignment and had to call me back later with the reprint and the fee increase. And guys, when I tell you doing professional, consistent work will keep you in business, I'm very much a product of that, because I'm pretty certain a lot of loan signing agents got into this business last year during COVID, maybe in 2020 as well, because refis and everything was making it very attractive, and there was a lot of videos and bloggers and people on social media promoting the loan signing agent business and marketing it. A lot of people got into the business and maybe even jumped in with both feet and went full time. And then when the interest rates go up, market may not be strong enough to support a full-time business. It just may not be. It may have just literally been strong enough to support a part-time business with extra benefits because of low interest rates. But we have to understand economics, and I'm not an economist. I majored in business, but I'm not an economist. But we have to understand the economy is cyclical. There will be peaks and there will be lows. And when interest rates go up, there's going to be an alternate effect. But we have to also understand when interest rates go up, while interest rates were down, many people benefited. I'm at FedEx now. When interest rates were low, many people benefited. They benefited with low interest rates and refis. People with jobs, people with good credit, people who own homes were able to refinance and save money on their house notes. More money in their pocket, in their bank account, more cash into the economy, which we know affects inflation. Now that interest rates are starting to creep up a little bit to try to offset inflation, fewer people will refinance because they don't see it as great of a deal. Less refis, less work for mobile notaries, allegedly. However, when there's less money in the economy, interest rates start to creep up, people start to get a little cash pour. Now people will look for other ways to get and put money in their pocket, other ways to obtain cash. Other ways to obtain cash. I am starting to see an increase more than normal in cash outs. People that own property who never thought about refinancing before because they either fully own their property or owned a lot of equity because of inflation. And maybe, I'm not sure how inflation affects every part of our life, but when people need money, they have to go out and figure out a way to get that money. Either loans, why would I go get a bank loan when I can get a cash out for still 3.5%? It's still cheaper than a traditional loan, and I can spread it out further. Cash outs, debt settlements, property tax loans, loans in general. A couple of weeks ago, I had an older client did a reverse mortgage. That will be its own separate video. She got the house for free, and literally a government built house, and literally got a full cash out, 80% of the value of the home as a cash out. That is like the biggest play of all time. Please somebody put in the comments and remind me to do a separate video on that. Yes, there will be ways for mobile notaries to continue to make money in this economy. Stay consistent, guys. Don't follow hype. Don't follow buzz on social media. Follow business news breaks. Follow watch financial news. Pay attention to the market. Listen to multiple sources, and you'll see the common denominator. Inflation will affect us in multiple ways. People will now start to need more cash. They're going to figure out ways to get that cash, and always remember, every real estate transaction needs a notary. Every real estate transaction. Even in inflationary times, people that have been holding on to these houses, right? Seller's market, or not selling, or bidding wars on houses. When cash starts to get a little poor, people don't have as much cash anymore. They may not, I can't afford to buy a house now. I'm just going to sit and wait it out. Now sellers are going to get desperate and start to think, well, I'm going to lower my price so I can start selling. Or people that own properties before that weren't interested in selling, they're just sitting on them, getting cash poor. I predict, it's a prediction, could be wrong, that more inventory will be available on the market, more houses will be available on the market, more transactions, more buyers and sellers. Every time a home is bought or sold, there's a notary on both ends. That's the common denominator, guys. The market conditions will not eliminate the need for loan signing agents. There may not be as many refis. It may not be as big of a moneymaker as it was in over the last 2 years, but the money is still out there. The market is still out there. See the business for what it really is. And as a part-time notary, as a part-time loan signing agent, yes, you can still make money. And if you're interested in doing so and want to have a more thorough conversation on how I've maintained my business over these last 15 months and still making money without really even marketing myself very aggressively and working as hard as, I did the first half of my career. Now that I've understood the ropes a little bit, contact me, email me. My email address will be in the description of this video. I'll give you a free 1-hour consultation, and then we'll talk about helping you build your own mobile notary business, understanding your market so that you can continue to put side income, really good side income in your pocket, and learn the real estate industry at the same time, so that maybe, like myself, it can lead you to future businesses that you can branch off, as well as make money and eventually make passive income. Thank you for watching. I will be back to you soon with another video talking about building business credit. I've been talking about that for the last few months now. I need to give you guys an update on how I've progressed with that. I'm looking at my watch. I need to get in FedEx. They're about to close. I will talk to y'all soon. It's the Country Notary. Y'all have a great day.